Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. This is Snapshot 21w11a, and this is one of those smaller quality of life snapshots that make tons of subtle changes to 1.17. And the first thing that I'm going to show you is a change that was supposed to be in the last snapshot. We can now waterlog our lightning rods. Fantastic. The next thing that I'm going to show you is the possibilities of the graphical upgrades. Look at the sky behind me. I have a resource pack on right now that takes advantage of the shaders and makes the night sky absolutely majestic. The reason that I mention this is because I just wanted to show off this absolutely glorious sky right here, but also there are tons of bug fixes related to graphical glitches and issues because of course the game engine has been updated to render with OpenGL 3.2, and so that's gonna throw up a whole bunch of issues, and loads of them are being fixed in this snapshot. So let's get into it, shall we? There is now some new functionality for removing and applying wax to the blocks of copper. The previous way of doing this was to put it in a crafting bench with honeycomb. Honeycomb is still now the way to do this, but you can do it like in the actual Minecraft world. So if I right click this with honeycomb, you see that it gets this sparkling effect, and it is then the waxed block of copper. And if I then go ahead and right click it with my netherite axe will be the tool of choice in order to remove it from this block. If I middle click it, you can see it is a block of copper again. Now this functionality extends to dispensers, so if I go ahead and put that there and press this button, we get those particle effects, the same as if the player did it. You can see it consume some honeycomb. Unfortunately, you can't use axes inside of the dispenser, so there's no way to do it the other way around with like redstone and all of that. I'm also going to go into survival mode because when you right click on it, it uses up some of the durability of your axe. And my advanced tooltips are off, so 2029, if I click on that and then we take it off again, you can see it's gone down by 1. Now, as you know, copper oxidizes when it's in the world through 4 different stages, and so what you could essentially set up is some sort of redstone contraption that detects them at a particular stage and then moves them onto a waxing station. And you can see over here the dispenser will wax the block and then push it on its way, meaning that this is no longer going to change to any other state. So I'm sure some of those redstone geniuses out there are going to be making copper farms that can wax the copper and give you all the different blocks in their different stages. And there is another feature related to all of this. You can now unoxidate some of the oxidated copper, and you can see that we got a lightning rod over here in the middle, and I've been summoning lightning bolts and kind of determined the maximum reach of this effect seems to be about 11 by 11 blocks. So let's go ahead and summon a lightning bolt. You can see closer to where the lightning bolt landed, the oxidation effect is stronger. It also creates some fire sometimes as well, and it creates these little like lashes that go out to the edge, but the further away from where the lightning strikes, the less the unoxidation effect is. So the more you strike over and over again, eventually ones that have been unoxidated a little bit get hit again and get advanced further along. So there is now a way to reverse this effect as well. And last of all, a minor crafting update. Blocks of copper can be converted into copper ingots. Wax blocks of copper will now be able to be converted as well. So next up, changes to the hanging roots and the rooted dirt. This is in a natural lush cave, so that means all the way up there on the surface there is an azalea tree. But anyway, down here, if I place these hanging roots, what you'll notice is that the texture can now be offset from the hitbox. So that gives all of them a little bit of variance. And the feature that's been added here is the ability to bone meal this rooted dirt. Now what you'll notice is that it's a 1-for-1. So if you bone meal the dirt block, it will create 1 hanging root. You can actually like click on it on any side. You can click on it on the top side and it will create some underneath. This also works with dispensers and redstone. So if I go ahead and press the button, you'll see it creates the roots down below. There's been a subtle change to the glow lichen and its interaction with a bone meal. You can of course bone meal this to spread it around blocks. However, if there was nowhere for it to spread to, it would keep consuming the bone meal. You can see now when I right click on this, nothing's happening. If I click over here, it starts to spread until it can't anymore. So bone meal is not going to be wasteful with this thing. It's also now usable with a composter, and based on just a little bit of rudimentary testing, it feels like between 30 and 50% chance of filling up a composting layer. But anyway, there's also a crafting recipe that has been added related to this, so you can make mossy blocks like so with vines. You'll now be able to just change out the vines for moss blocks and still be able to craft the mossy blocks, which I think is a cool addition. There are a couple of quality of life changes to drip leaves. So if you got the big drip leaf and you were to break the stem, that bug that you saw there creating water, I had that a moment ago as well actually. Well, anyway, breaking the stem wouldn't have dropped anything. Now it actually drops multiple of these, so it's a very easy way to farm it. You can just bone meal it to grow it up big, and then you can break it and get a whole bunch of them back. The other change is with the small drip leaf. You now have control over which way it faces when you place it. So depending on what way the player is facing, it will place with a different rotation. There are changes to a fully grown amethyst cluster. If you are to break this with a pick, you will get 4 of the amethyst shards. If you have fortune, I got fortune 3 right here, you'll be able to get more than 4. Let's have a look. We got 4 that time, and we got double. We got 8 from that one. And if you are to break these by hand, you will only ever get 2. There you go, 2 right there. And the same thing goes for pistons, another 2, and another 2. So if you want to automate the breaking of this with redstone, you will get less overall. Both types of the azalea bush can now be used as fuel for smelting. Oh, and by the way, these bushes, they drop from the leaves of the azalea trees. I've just chopped one down and I'm punching away the leaves here. You can see that I picked up a flowering azalea. Next up, changes to textures. Some consistencies have been added, and I've noticed that these are very similar to some of the resource packs added by the Vanilla Tweaks community. So I don't know if they've had a direct influence on this, but yeah, it's really good to see these things being changed. So the one here is that the spectral arrow, when shot by a bow, actually creates a golden spectral arrow in the world. Here we have the signs of all of the overworld types of woods, and the change here is that the actual wood part at the bottom here has been updated to match the newer texture on all of these signs. The jungle door was also in need of a new texture as it didn't match its real world counterpart. So this is the same, but the item here has received a new texture. And apparently the backs of paintings were never updated, so right here we got the barrier block so that we can see the back side of this. Yeah, look at that. It's been updated to match the newer textures. Okay, I have some frozen hearts. Now I'm going to exit the world and go into hardcore mode. And look at that, hardcore hearts have been added for when you are freezing. And last of all, on the texture front, the sugarcane texture has been updated. Very subtle, but that is definitely different. Now in this update, there are tweaks to the sizes and generation of caves again, but to be fair, I couldn't tell you the difference between this one and the last one. Having flown around for a while, it really just feels like I'm flying through some new terrain, but I imagine the tweaks and changes will continue as Mojang get feedback from the community. And so another change that coincides with this is a slight increase in the frequency of diamond ore blobs. And just doing a quick and rough test, I really couldn't comment and tell you if it's noticeable or a lot. So I think the change there with the diamond ore blobs is rather subtle at the moment. Another thing you might notice, lava lakes are generating with stone around them. That might be considered a bug. And last of all, on the generation front, when it comes to these lush caves, in the last snapshot video I made, we saw some floating water as the result of generation like these parts, and it's been hard to try and find an example where that might happen. This might be a candidate, but supposedly we're going to get better generation and less of that floating water. And another interesting feature is being added in this snapshot, the ability to generate a report from the performance of the game. This can already be achieved using the debug command. You can start a debug and then stop it, and it will generate a bunch of information to let you know what's taking place in the world. Well, this can now be done with F3 and L, which I've just pressed, and it will take the next 10 seconds of gameplay to create a profile telling me everything that's going on in the game, and then it should tell me where I can find it on my computer. There you go, that's the spot. And when I go to this location, there is a zip file, and here are the contents of that zip file. And if I open up profiling.txt, there is tons of information about what is happening inside of the world, where all the resources for running the game are going to, and that can sometimes help you find a problem in the world that you're able to fix. As well as this, there's also the metrics folder with more information, of which I don't really understand, and deviations. There are some additional information in here too. And this is subject to change from snapshot to snapshot. So some of the information it provides today might not be in the future snapshot, and some other stuff might get added too. It is basically subject to change. Some changes to spectator mode. If you were to go inside of the powder snow, you can see inside of it now, and this is a similar change to lava. So when you go into lava, you're now actually able to see through all of this space. And last of all, here is something that I missed from last week's snapshot. It's now possible to create an even bigger slime than before. The previous max size was 64. This one is 128. And it is just... oh, this is so ridiculous right now. I'm trying to give you a comparison, but each time I summon this thing in, it dies from full damage. This is such a ridiculous sight right here. Oh my goodness me. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this snapshot video. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like. And if you're looking for some entertainment, I posted an episode of Hermitcraft on Sunday, so that'll be linked on the end screen. Have a click, have a watch. Yeah, this is it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again with another one next week. Bye-bye.